Hello friends, welcome to Lukman IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 18th June 2021. But before starting today's lecture, let me tell you that this day we started the Hindu analysis lecture series last year 2020, 18th June, and we have completed 1 year of this lecture series successfully. So on behalf of Lukman IAS team, I would like to thank you for your support, and many students are continuing this lecture series, and surely they will be benefiting from this lecture series for your preparation. And the trust that you have shown in Lukman IAS is, we are very immensely proud of that trust. Now, as we are talking about trust, let me talk about that word, or we can say value. Yes, trust is very important in any relationship, and here the relationship is between the tutor or the coach or teacher and the students, and the students are having the trust in the teacher. This trust is very important, and teacher is having the trust in the student that they are going to take benefit of whatever being taught in the classroom. At the same time, they are going to benefit in their personality development from that inputs. So this trust is very important, the teacher student relationship. Along with that, all other relations, like be it private relations at home level, family level, or if we are talking about the public relations, okay, the employer employee relationship, or if we are talking about the government and citizen relationship, everything is based on the trust. Okay, so yes, we are very thankful for your trust that you have shown in Lukman IAS, and we are surely working on delivering on your trust that you have put on us. Fine? Yes. So let us move on to today's lecture now. These are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. For mains purpose and for prelims purpose, let us take overview of all these articles first, and then we will move on to detailed analysis of all these articles. Yes, first article on page number 6, editorial page, it is talking about a place for disruptive technology in India's health sector. A very good article for essay purpose and GS3 science and technology purpose. The article is talking about the significance of disruptive technology in health sector. Specifically, it is talking about disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, or robotics, or we can say big data analysis. All these are disruptive technologies which are resulting into Industrial Revolution 4.0, we call it as IR, Industrial Revolution 4.0, right? So how they are benefiting health sector, especially in management of pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. This is important. We are expecting essay topic on the same, we can say, aspect here. Now, moving on, a judicial pushback to a draconian legal regime. Again, yesterday itself we discussed one editorial on same topic. The topic or the context here is that Delhi High Court granted bail to some of the students, JNU students and activists in Delhi riots case. So yes, the article again is in detail discussing what are the root causes, along with that what are the issues involved in granting the bail under UPA Act, right? So this is important from polity perspective. Now, Home Minister launches helpline for cyber fraud. This is important input that we can take in terms of cyber security. The policy initiatives or the initiatives taken by the government in cyber security sphere. So this is important from GS3 paper. We have this syllabus topic in GS3. Then lastly, one report that is released from the government, birth death registrations up in 2019. So important data, demographic data is we can use that in mains examination, be it GS1 paper, society part, or essay paper. We can use such data, updated data, because we are not expecting the data of census, decadal census for before your mains examination. So you can use such updated data of birth rate or death rates and their registrations, right? Specifically for prelims examination, Assam seeks realignment of tracks through wetland. So tracks here it is talking about railway tracks going through this Deepor Bill or that reserve forest. So what is this Deepor Bill? A wetland that is located near Guwahati, Assam. This is important from environment perspective. Location, geographical locations of important protected areas. This becomes important for our prelims examination, looking at the trend of our examination. Now, Chinese astronauts dock with new space station. Very important development. We can say in space sector, China's astronauts dock with new space station. This is the follow-up that we are having. Earlier also we discussed about Chinese space missions in last 1 or 2 decades. Again we will have follow-up and revision from that aspect. Lastly, some practice prelims MCQs from today's The Hindu daily current affairs. Fine. Now let us go into details. Yes. So the first article that we are talking here, it is a place for disruptive technology in India's health sector. Now disruptive technologies, the context here, artificial intelligence, robotics, big data analysis, or even we can say that blockchain technology, all these are called as disruptive technologies. Why disruptive technologies? Because they have the huge potential to disrupt the existing socio-economic and political setup in the countries, right? So if we are talking about the different economic processes, production processes, if these technologies are employed, they can substantially change the rates of these processes, efficiency, outcome, and that's why it has the potential to disrupt the existing socio-economic systems. That's why they are called as disruptive technologies. Now their significance in health sector, because the ongoing pandemic, the management of this pandemic, already there was question in 2020 mains examination, GS3 paper, role of technology in management of pandemic. Straightforward question was there, right? So yes, we have to take input not only from the disruptive technologies, also the other technologies like biotechnology or digital technologies. All these technologies helped in management of pandemic. The answer lies there. However, here we are speaking specifically of disruptive technologies. Let us try to understand how they are helping in health sector. Robotics, yes, robotics and drones technology, how it is helping. So all over the world there are many such examples of humanoid robots helping deliver medicines, food to COVID-19 patients. As we can say, we can understand the contactless management of these patients, or we can say treatment to the patient was very important, because this disease is highly infectious disease, and that's why humanoid robots were employed. Such example in India was Savai Madhopur Hospital in Jaipur, Rajasthan. Jaipur, Rajasthan. So trials were done successfully here of humanoid robot delivering medicine and food to the patient in contactless manner. Along with that, in China, robots were employed for temperature detection of people, along with that O2 levels, oxygen levels and heart rates, all they were being checked by the robots and the data was stored, right? So this is a very innovative way of contactless analysis of the health indicators of people, patients, and this is how the robotics. Now drones, recently itself, yesterday itself we were talking about the ICMR has shown the interest in use of these drones in delivering COVID-19 vaccines in we can say remote places, such places where directly the road availability or railways connectivity is not available, and delivery of these vaccines to such remote places can be done through drones. So try to give such examples in your answers, applications of this technology. Now after understanding this, blockchain technology, second one. For each technology you need to have one or two examples. So there can be blockchain, health blockchain registry. We know that blockchain is a kind of ledger that is very secure, and therefore health blockchain ledger or registry can be created for all the people, and the data related to each and every patient can be monitored and recorded and monitored in a secure manner. Now this is very important, because the security of data has been one of the challenge, especially when we are moving towards a digital health system, right? So health blockchain is important development. Along with that, big data analysis. Now big data analysis is useful for early detection of diseases. For example, if we are talking about the variants of COVID-19 virus, right? So there are many such mutations happening, and such genome sequencing of different variants is being done in all the countries, and the data that is being created is very bulky. Now this big data analysis is going to help to locate the specific mutations which may be harmful, which may be having the high infectivity rate, and therefore alarming the governments or even the World Health Organization WHO in taking certain policy measures to deal with such variants of concerns, right? So this is the use of big data analysis. Fine. So early detection of diseases, you can mention such application. Now artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. Now this is also very helpful in terms of, we can say, artificial intelligence. If we are talking about the facial recognition technology, this can be employed for identifying those who are not wearing mask properly. This is being employed in some of the eastern countries, okay, and therefore this is very helpful. Suppose there is a crowded place, right, railway station, airports, such facial recognition system, if it is employed, then it can easily detect those who are not wearing the mask properly and alarm the, let's say, those personnel who are there for enforcing such COVID-19 appropriate behavior, right? So facial recognition system utilizing artificial intelligence. Along with that, Internet of Things, surely whatever the guidelines which are given by the government or local governments, administration, they are easily communicated to the people when this Internet of Things, that is all the devices that are connected with each other with high speed internet, and this Internet of Things is going to be the future, okay. So this is going to be used for data sharing and interoperability. This is going to be useful. Then achieving universal health coverage through digital health strategy in India. So universal health coverage, because we are talking about health sector, and universal health coverage still we are having it as a distant goal to be achieved. So universal health coverage can be achieved through digital health strategy. Now this digital health strategy, this should look into first of all, let's say, the challenges of digital divide. It should overcome the challenges of digital divide in the country. Then we can say data accumulation or data gathering, then data storage, its security, all these aspects are needed to be understood. Then the application, if we are talking about digital health strategy, the telehealth or telemedicine is very helpful, and in this direction last year the government of India has undertaken various initiatives. For example, eSanjeevani initiative, eSanjeevani initiative for telehealth. So yes, the consultations with doctors can be done over the, we can say, online call or even telephone call. So this eSanjeevani is very helpful because already there is we can say dearth of human resource available. Along with that, this COVID-19 pandemic has to some extent exerted the pressure on the existing healthcare resources, and therefore the other health problems, diseases, they have received less attention during last more than 1 year. Like for example, TB cases, they were detected, very less TB cases were detected in last 1 year as compared to the previous year. So this is how we have to understand the importance of telehealth and telemedicine, wherein people can consult and get their diseases diagnosed over the phone call also or online call. Fine. What will be the challenges in employing these disruptive technologies? What will be the challenges? Let us understand these challenges. Because yes, the technology we are employing, surely this technology know-how, technological know-how, it is at very preliminary stage. It is at very preliminary stage. Further research and development is required in employing these technologies in health sector. Then we have to overcome digital divide in the country. Third thing, we have to ensure data security. We have to ensure data privacy. All these are going to be the challenges to employ these disruptive technologies in health sector, right? So you need to work on, or the government needs to work on all these aspects, and then we can say that we can achieve the universal health coverage through this digital health strategy in India. What kind of question we are expecting? Try to attempt such straightforward question, because generally in GS3 paper and GS1 paper, very straightforward one-liner questions are generally asked, and therefore you should have the practice of attempting such question. Explain the role of disruptive technology in management of pandemic in India. So last year they asked in general role of technology. We are expecting role of biotechnology, role of digital technology, and role of disruptive technologies in pandemic management. Okay. At the same time, similar essay topic. So last year they asked one question in GS3 paper. This year we are expecting essay topic, technology and COVID-19 pandemic. Such kind of simple essay topic can be there. So here you have to understand the role of technology in COVID-19 pandemic management. Okay. Now moving on to next article, a judicial pushback to a draconian legal regime. So the context of this article on page number 6, it is talking about recently Delhi High Court granted bail to two of JNU student activists and one Jamia Millia Islamia University student activist bail in Delhi riots case, that Delhi riots that happened in 2020 last year. Okay, so this is good development, and this Delhi High Court ruling has to some extent upheld the personal liberty of these student activists. So root cause of the issue that is explained by the writer here is section 43D5 of UPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Under this section 43D5, now this particular section, what it is talking about? It is talking about granting bail to accused person. Granting bail to accused person. Now this section 43D5 says that if the court believes or have certain, let's say, trust that whatever the accusations are there against the person, suppose the police files the case, and in that case suppose court finds the sufficient evidence that the accusations are true, then the bail can be denied. Now you have to understand what are the issues involved in this section 43. Okay, so issues involved here is that the court is only taking into consideration of prosecution side only. Prosecution side, here we can say police, okay, or the government, right? So the prosecution side and its, let's say, whatever the witnesses or all these things are provided, that side is only considered by the court to either give bail or not, deny the bail. That means cross examination of these proofs provided by the prosecution is not done at bail stage. This is the major problem here, right? So we have in India as our adversarial judicial system. We in India has adversarial justice system, and under this adversarial justice system, it works on the basic principle that prosecution and the person who is being prosecuted, right? So his lawyer, both will try to prove their side, and the court in impartial manner will listen to both sides and then take the judgment. This is called as adversarial justice system that we have in India. Now this principle is violated, denied in this particular section 43. Why? Because only prosecution side is considered in granting bail and not the person who is accused, right? So we have to mention the argument of adversarial justice system. Now why there is need of bail? Yes, surely there is need of bail to ensure or to protect personal liberty of the person. That is guaranteed as fundamental right under Article 51 of Indian Constitution. Right to personal liberty, right to life and personal liberty, right? So this is very much needed. Why? Because unless and until the charges are established by the prosecution and they are proved, that person and his personal liberty is sacrosanct, right? So for example, here Delhi High Court upheld this personal liberty of these student activists. Now along with this personal liberty, we have to also understand that if bail is denied, then the person is facing jail as under trial, and they face such under trial, we can say, jail punishment. In India, we know that these cases or such sensitive cases like Delhi riots case, they linger on for years and years, even sometimes decades, and these people, those who have, let's say, against accusations, they face, or let's say, such jail time, jail period as under trials. We in India has major proportion of under trials facing we can say prison time, right? So this is again the problem here, and that's why the bail is needed. Along with that, in ordinary cases, the factors which are considered by the court before granting bail are, for example, first, whether the person is having flight risk. That means if granted bail, whether that person will leave the country or not, that risk is considered. Second, that whether the person may or will influence the witness, threaten the witnesses involved in the case, whether there is such possibility, right? So all these factors are considered, and then the bail is granted in general cases. However, in this particular case, because of this section, there are some stringent provisions for granting bail, and therefore in addition to this factor, the new factors are considered in UPA Act provisions. Now, significance of Delhi High Court's judgment in this particular case, the significance is that upholding and balancing civil rights of people along with security of state or country, right? So this is very important. A fine balance is required to be maintained, and many times what happens is the arbitrary use of stringent provisions, stringent laws like UPA against the dissent or dissenters is antithetical to democracy. Yesterday we talked about this argument. So in any democracy, such kind of misuse or arbitrary use to muzzle the voice of the criticism, dissenters, is antithetical to democracy, right? So that's why we have to understand the significance of Delhi High Court judgment. Now the Delhi police has gone to Supreme Court against such granting of bail by Delhi High Court. Recently Delhi High Court also issued the notice to free these student activists, and they have been released from Tihar jail now. This is the present situation. In future we will have follow up on with what Supreme Court will have to say on this issue. Fine? Okay. Now moving on to next article. Home Minister Shah launches helpline for cyber fraud. This is important input you can take in cyber security, the initiatives taken by the government to ensure cyber security in the country. This is one of the initiative you can mention, recent initiative, like a national helpline 155260 and reporting platform for preventing financial loss due to cyber fraud. Many such cyber frauds are being done, especially in financial sector. The people are facing such financial losses, be it in terms of ATM fraud or financial transactions fraud are happening. So they can directly call this national helpline and register their complaint now. The helpline is made operational by Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center. This is sometimes also called as I4C. I4C, Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, right, in coordination with Reserve Bank of India and all major banks, payment banks, wallets, online merchants, right. So it is a kind of, let's say, coordination from by regulatory agencies as well as the private agencies to avoid such cyber fraud. Fine? Okay. Now, some data from this report, vital statistics of India based on the civil registration system. Death rates, birth rates, registration has improved in last year 2019. The level of birth registration increased from 87.8% in 2018 to 92.7% in 2019. Death registration also similarly went up to 92% during same period. While 14 states and union territories achieved 100% level of birth registration, 19 such states and union territories achieved the same level in cases of death. This is good development. Then highest sex ratio at birth based on registered events was reported by Arunachal Pradesh. You can see the favorable sex ratio at birth, then followed by Nagaland, then Mizoram, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Lowest such sex ratio at birth was reported in Gujarat, Assam and Madhya Pradesh, followed by Jammu Kashmir. Mizoram and Tripura reported 100% registration at both birth and deaths. Okay, so this is the data specifically related for birth and death registration in 2019 and the sex ratio at birth. Fine? Okay. Now, specifically prelims related developments. Assam seeks realignment of tracks through wetland. Assam government has proposed the realignment of broad gauge railway line through Deepor Bill, an important bird area designated under Ramsar Convention of Wetlands. Actually, several elephants have been run over by the railway tracks between the elevated Rani Reserve Forest and the sanctuary. That's why such measures are being taken to protect the wildlife in that region. Now, Deepor Bill was designated Ramsar site in 2002 for sustaining range of aquatic life forms. Right. So, wetland is located 10 kilometers southwest of Guwahati, Assam. Now, the expansion of city encroachment upon natural channels through Guwahati from hills around, then municipal waste dumps, all these are resulting into degradation of wetlands, threats to this wetland. We know that Ramsar site is a wetland designated to be of international importance under Ramsar Convention that was signed on 2nd February 1971, right, in the Iranian city of Ramsar. This came into force in 1975. This convention came into force in 1975. This 2nd February is celebrated as International Wetland Day. International Wetland Day, 2nd February. Fine. So, this is important information for prelims examination. Now, Chinese astronauts dock with new space station. Yes, this is important development for China in space research. First group of Chinese astronauts on 17 June entered country's under construction space station. Then this is the spaceship, name of spaceship, Shenzhou 12 spaceship carrying 3 astronauts. This was, let's say, automated docking with Tianhe module that was earlier docked with this Chinese space station, right. So, Shenzhou 12 was launched from Jiuquan Launch Center from Gobi Desert, right. So, 2 important deserts of China, Taklamakan Desert and Gobi Desert. Okay. Then 3-man crew will be orbiting for 3 months. Okay. Now, this is the first of 2 manned space missions planned this year, a part of an intense schedule of launches aimed at completing space station by 2022. Now, important space missions of China in last 2 decades. This is very important and they have very specific names, you need to remember them. Now, if we are talking about the earliest one, 2003 Shenzhou 5 carries first Chinese astronaut into space, the 3rd country after Soviet Union and US to do so. You can see the name Shenzhou 5. the similar kind of name Shenzhou 12. That means it is actually the spaceship to carry the manned missions. Names are same. Shenzhou 5, now Shenzhou 12. Right. Then later on Chang 1, the first lunar mission of China and fifth country to launch lunar probe, 2007. So Chang is name given to the lunar probe because you can see here the Chang 4 and Chang in 2019 Chang 4 lunar probe making world's first landing on far side of moon. This was in news at that time, Chang 4, right? So you need to remember Chang is name given to lunar probes. Fine. Then Tiangong 1 in 2011, first space lab and precursor to space station. So Tiangong is actually the space station of China. Space station of China, and first such module Tiangong 1 2011 that was launched. Right. So now in 2012 Shenzhou 9 docks with Tiangong 1, first manned docking for China's space program. So you can see here Shenzhou is manned mission or spaceships, Tiangong is space station, right. Then we have recently launched Tianwen 1 Mars probe, Mars mission carrying orbiter, lander and rover. Fine. So Tianwen 1 is Mars mission. Fine. So yes, and Zhurong is the lander that touched down on Mars from this Tianwen 1 mission. Zhurong, okay, lander. Fine. So these are the names very important for prelims examination. They can be match the following type of question: the name of these missions and their intention, objectives. Fine. Okay. So from this you can attempt this question. Try to attempt it. Yes. So let us try to solve. The question is talking about matching the pair, and we have to find the incorrectly matched pairs. Incorrectly matched. Now Chang 4 moon probe of China. Just now we talked about the Chang. Chang is actually the name of moon deity in let's say Chinese tradition. So that's why the name moon probe of China. This is correctly matched. Tianwen 1 is space station of China? No, this is not space station of China, rather it is Mars probe of China. Right, just now we talked about the Zhurong lander from this Tianwen recently touched down on the surface of Mars. So Tianwen 1 is Mars probe of China that was launched in July 2020. In July 2020 last year. Now Tiangong 1 is actually the space station of China, Tiangong 1. So the correct answer will be 2 and 3 because we are finding incorrectly matched pairs. Incorrectly matched 2 and 3, answer C. Next question, try to solve this question. Yes. So two statements are given. First statement, we have to find the correct statement. First statement, Deepor Bill is wetland located in Bihar state. This is incorrect. It is not located in Bihar, or even sometimes they will say that West Bengal. Deepor Bill, some kind of let's say Bengali language word is used. But yes, It is not in Bihar or West Bengal, rather it is located near Guwahati, Assam. Near Guwahati, Assam. It is designated as wetland of international importance under Ramsar Convention. This is correct statement. It is designated in 2002 as important bird area as well as the international important wetland of international importance under Ramsar Convention. So answer should be 2 only. Correct statement. Fine? Yes. So yes, these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. If you like the Hindu analysis that we are doing, please tell us in your feedback in the comment box. At the same time, you can share this link of the video with your friends and colleagues who are preparing for this examination, so that it reaches to more and more needy students. Fine. For further information about foundation batch that is going to start for 2022 UPSC Civil Services examination, many students who are appearing for the final year examination of their graduation, or we can say doing their final year graduation, it is very important batch for those students. The foundation for preparation of this examination will be covered in a very comprehensive manner. So to know more about the foundation batch at Lukman IAS, you can contact Lukman IAS. Thank you.
Live online classes are as effective as offline classes. Ethics with S. Ansari remains the best ever choice. Do you know that ethics paper is the only paper in general studies that pays more with less efforts? One can easily secure 130 to 140 marks. Lukman IAS is a well-established name since 2014 for ethics paper. We offer 3 types of courses: Ethics Foundation course, Ethics Case Studies, and Ethics Test Series. Since 2015, Lukman IAS students have maintained the records of securing the highest marks in this paper. Ethics Foundation course is starting from 21st of June 2021. Classes will be for 4 days in a week, from 11 am to 1:30 pm. The course duration is of 60 days and the videos will be available for 75 days. There will be 43 classes, of which 35 classes will be focused on theory and concept building, and 8 classes will be dedicated for case studies. There will be over 180 case studies and 3 tests. Since 4 months are left for prelims, one can easily finish the ethics paper before prelims itself, and it's a good opportunity. So why to wait? Contact us today for more information.